something I've really been looking forward to since first hearing their EP that they released back in, I think it was 2015. Um, I haven't known of these guys since that time. I came across that EP later, so basically somewhere in 2019 I came across that EP. So I haven't been waiting too long, but nevertheless, since I heard that EP of them three tracks, I have been so goddamn excited to hear them release an album. So basically, this is a Swedish band. A lot of great metal bands come from Sweden. And they released their EP back in 2015. It's progressive metal. They have a great sense of musicianship. The song structures are fantastic. The vocals are brilliant. They have a great sense for melody and great rhythms and everything. They have spectacular leads, strong vocal work. I reviewed the EP, so you can go check that review on my channel. It was very difficult to actually find a flaw on the bloody thing because everything was just so perfect. They had the song structure, the melodies, the songs kept changing, so didn't get repetitive. Strong vocals, great leads, musicianship. It just had everything. There was nothing that it really kind of lacked. So I gave that something like a 9.5 out of 10, and if you've been aware of my channel, I am very, very strict when it comes to music. I listen to a lot of different bands like every single day that I don't review, because I just throw them aside thinking this is absolutely crap. If I reviewed everything I listened to, there would just be a shit ton of like 0 out of 10s all over the channel. I'm very strict. But yeah, this band, for coming out and releasing an EP of just 3 tracks, fairly long tracks. You do get a fair bit for your track, so it's 3 tracks and it was about 23 minutes you get, so every track was around 8 minutes, which was pretty great. But nevertheless, the first ever release, usually when a band releases something without a label, you're looking at some heightened nerves because it's the first ever thing they're putting out, and so there's a lot of nerves going in. The production is a bit of a mess. The songwriting is a bit of a mess because they need to kind of come together as a band and kind of unite and really figure out how each other works to kind of bring structure to all the songs. So songs can be a little kind of messy or a little bland. You can hear nerves and people aren't putting all their energy and relax themselves into the music. But the first everything they release, and it being better than so many bands I listen to, it near enough went to this is one of the best bands I've ever heard in just 3 tracks for their first ever release. And it's like, this is probably the best band ever. That was quite a feat for them to come out and immediately do something that incredible when bands have had years under their belt and they are still trying to progress and get better, and these guys come out and just nail it first attempt. Now, obviously, it's 2020 and this is the first album, so it's been 5 years, and the band has said that they have worked on it for pretty much 5 years, which would... Some people may think, oh, it took them 5 years, that's quite bad, because I know when you get pop artists, they kind of come out and say, oh, I wrote a song in 2 hours, or I did an album in a day, so I'm really developing. As for I kind of think, no, I think that means you're getting worse as a musician and a songwriter, because you're not really putting a lot of effort in. It takes time, and it takes a lot of going back to the drawing board and then building on something. If you just put something out in just 5 minutes, like how much effort and expression and just creativity could you have really achieved in 5 bloody minutes? So for them to take 5 years and really take their time, I really do admire. I wouldn't like to see that consistently because I would like to constantly get new shit from this band. But I do kind of like that they took their time with it to really focus and really just try and build something really worthwhile. So it's been 5 years, and I was worried to begin with because they went basically off the charts. Like once a year they posted something on Facebook of something, and then they just completely went blank, and all of a sudden it's like, we got a record label, here's an album. So they said they were going to release something Tuesday, so basically today I've basically heard it 3-4 times now, just over and over again, just to get it really in my head, and then I wanted to review it as soon as possible. So they gave it about 3 days, so they were like, we're releasing something. I guessed it was a single, and for these 3 days I've been super excited and couldn't wait. I kind of thought I'll just go to bed early and just try and sleep my way through until this thing comes out. So I've hyped this a lot, which probably means that if you overhype something, it'll never live to that expectation, which could be a problem. Also, the band also said that this day is when the pre-orders come out, and technically I think you should always wait until the album drops to really see if it's really worth all that money, if it really is worth giving up money for. And you never know, like, I like the EP, the album may be something completely different. You never know if it will still match up and be exactly the same. But for once, with this band, it's just like, I have so much faith and trust in them, I will pre-order it. I don't have to hear the album. I know they are going to do great. That is how much confidence I have in these guys. So the day came, I was checking every half an hour. I subscribed to their YouTube channel so I could get it. I clicked the bell icon so it would notify me immediately. I was on their Facebook every half hour waiting. They released it, and the band actually explained what was going to be in the music video and song. So they said this song has 3 keyboard solos, 2 guitar solos, 1 bass solo, and 1 drum solo. I was thinking, how the fuck are they going to achieve this in a song? Looking at the song length, the song is actually just 5 minutes 38, so the EP, every song was about 8 minutes, this being 5 minutes 38, it's still a decent length, but it is still fairly short for something that's a progressive metal band with 7 friggin' solos in, so I'm like, they must have really crammed these in. I wonder how they've done it. So I played the song. For one of the people who followed me, there is a Stargate in the music video. That is just for this person who follows me, so that's just going to excite him just for that part. There is a Stargate in the music video throughout. They play in front of it. It's weird that the entire comment section, after 5 years of waiting for this bloody thing to release, and the comment section for the first comments was, God, I was wondering if the Stargate was going to activate it. It's weird, I thought the Stargate would have activated. The Stargate! 5 years you've waited for this band, and all you've bothered about is the friggin' Stargaze. It was ridiculous, these few comments I saw. But, as I said, I really like this band because of the strong vocal work, the incredible melodies it has, and how all the sound is very open and clear. When the singer comes in with a verse, his voice is very clear and light, and has such great melody to it, and they can just have the bass and the drums, so I can actually hear the bass and the articulation of the bass without the guitars drowning them out. And then the guitars will come in, and everything is open, everything soars, and I really like it. And then they have the few elements of like gent heavy type of stuff. With this song, basically, it's not as good as what I got from the EP. And I kind of worried for a little bit, but then I kind of came out of it. And I'll get into that after I explain the track. So, first off, the track is actually pretty heavy. It starts off with like quite faded in the background kind of key piano type of stuff. And then it starts building up, and then it kind of explodes into this very intense key lead. So the keys are at the forefront for the most part. The guitars and the drums are there, but it's basically just like very sharp and aggressive, just belt out a chord and just have it kind of ring very sharply out. And then it's kind of gent style, so that's basically what it is. So just a dun dun dun. So it's just dun, and then it just kind of rings, and then dun dun, and there's no ring. It doesn't fade out. It's just dun dun, very sharp, very aggressive. While the keys do all the in between, very lead focused. And then as it kind of keeps going, the guitars kind of come a bit more into the forefront instead of just having all these faded little stops in between the stuff. They start just doing the typical gent style of thing, which wasn't really why I liked Paralydium. I kind of liked them for that musicality, the soaring leads, the melodies, the clarity, just the beauty, the grace, the melodies were just so damn incredible. and how they had focus points on each instrument. When the the verse came in, I could focus on the singer, and I could focus on just the bass and the drum. Then the guitar will come in, and then I can see them all as a unit. But I could distinguish each one because they would have a focus point, and the guitar would be stripped back or something. And it had a lot of groove, it had a lot of melody and grace about it. With this, as I said, there's a lot of intense keys going on. The very aggressive gent guitar stuff isn't exactly why I fell in with Paralydium, but nevertheless, it's a very aggressive intro. When the vocalist comes in, again, unlike what you get in the EP, his voice is quite aggressive here. There is a fair bit of distortion to his voice. I don't think it's an effect. There may be an effect that they've put onto his voice, but he does have this kind of aggressive, nasally kind of stuff on it. It is definitely not a clear, relaxed voice. There is a lot of kind of like strain and that kind of distortion to his voice. He's still an incredible singer, nevertheless. So even still, it's an incredible distorted voice. But my preference is melody over kind of just like full blown just aggression and distortion. So the guitars and the keys are still quite aggressive, both in the forefront together, which is quite nice. Usually keys in bands can be very drowned out and near impossible to hear. Paralydium really do have a good way of the keys are always heard, and they are always their individual little piece, unlike other bands. So I really like that I do kind of get a focus on the keys. So if you really like keys in your music, Paralydium, you can always hear it, even in this song. The keys are always there, so if you're a key player, if you enjoy keys in music, it is always on the forefront and it's always seen. It doesn't drown out the guitar doesn't drown out the keys. They are both in the forefront together, doing their own individual things. So you got a good sense of musicianship there. You can hear the drums clear, you can hear the guitar clear, and you can hear the keys clear, and they're all doing their individual piece. So there is a lot to listen to here, even though there's not a lot of leads going on yet. And as I say, the vocalist is very kind of aggressive and has his distortion, but he still definitely has that great kind of grace to his voice, even though there is a lot of aggression to him. The latter part of the first verse, his vocal performance opens up a little bit. These few lines he says near the end of the verse, it just gives him a bit more of a flow and a bit of gap to kind of open up, to put a bit more kind of expression and emotion into it, and that sounds a little bit better. The pre-chorus, he takes the distortion out a bit and it goes a bit more kind of melodic and softer, but it's still got a lot of this kind of like dark kind of element about it. It's not kind of beautiful, it's definitely a dark sound. It's basically the chorus which really comes into the typical Paralydium, where his voice is a lot more clean. So he cleans his voice up a lot. The distortion disappears, that kind of nasal element disappears. It's very clean and clear. And he sings, and then the band open up a lot more, so the gent stuff and aggression's kind of gone. And then the backing vocals really emphasize just the kind of beauty that Paralydium kind of goes for, the melody. It's very, very light and soft, the backing vocals. It really, really works, the backing vocals. Like if you took them out, the chorus would be really stripped of what really works about it. The backing vocals actually give this chorus what it is and what really works with it. So they're definitely the best parts of the chorus here, is the backing vocals along with the vocals. It's just so bright and clear, and again has a good sense of melody about it, which is what Paralydium are supposed to be about. If you go on their Facebook, they say they like to have the emphasis on melody and kind of groove and everything, which their EP had spades of. Going back into your verse, the verse is exactly the same, which is a bit unfortunate that they don't do something new and then it's kind of the same chorus. Going into the bridge section, this is your first solo from the keys, which has a bit of a focus on kind of melody and kind of groove a bit. There's not a lot of speed to it. There is a few flashy elements, but for the most part, this first key solo is about kind of the groove and melody. It sounds fairly nice, but how they have gone about putting these 7 solos in is basically every solo is quite short. So the solo only lasts a few seconds. I don't think it really gets to 10. It may get close, but it's as I say, it's not long. It's just this kind of really nice lead. And then going into the actual bridge part with the vocals, this is the best part as well as vocally, because this is Paralydium at their best. The band is open in sound. The voice is very open and very clear. He's not just really sharply getting out the vocals. He's not putting distortion on. He holds on each word. His voice soars. It's got great clarity and grace to his voice. The bridge section is just by far the best part because everything's open and it sounds beautiful. It's got great melody to it. And then this is where we get to our biggest kind of solo aspect. But as I say, there's a lot of solos to get through, so they have to kind of rush through it, which is the unfortunate part. So the first solo kicking off, you get the bass. It's a little tricky to really hear a lot of it, because the bass is a very thick sound and everything, so it's very hard for articulation. And then the rest of the band do kind of stick around. They do open it up a little bit, but they have to obviously keep the rhythm going. So when the whole band kind of come together with the bass, it does kind of drown the bass out, and it loses that little articulation when the band kind of comes in. You can hear everything if you really focus. It's a little tricky with the bass. As far as the solo goes, it's not, pure speed and aggression. It's just like one of them groovy kind of bass solos, doesn't last too long. And then it goes into the drums, which is, again, just a bit of flourishes from the drums, not too long. And then you get the first guitar solo, which is definitely like the peaking best part of the solo portion. Because the guitarist comes in and he's got a lot of speed. He does kind of slow things back, so he's not just pure speed, because that would just be quite boring just hearing speed, so you need some variation. So he has his speed, he has his kind of groovy kind of element, his bit of focus on melody, just so he's not just one little thing. And then the keys come in for their second solo, and again, they're a bit more aggressive than his first attempt. Then we go into, I think, the pre-chorus, back to the chorus, and then it finishes with the remainder solo, so you have to get your third key solo and then your second guitar solo. The second guitar solo is very fast. It's the fastest of all of it. I think the keys are quite fast as well. I can't really remember, I just really remember the guitar stuff because there was a lot of speed to it. And it sounded like quite an achievement. And then it kind of finishes how it begins. Well, not exactly how it begins. When the intro kind of built up, that's where it kind of ends off on, with the emphasis on kind of keys and then the gent kind of guitar stuff. The song's 5 minutes 38, as I said, so it's not as long as the EP tracks. It's heavy, so it lacks that kind of brilliant melody that you really got from the EP. It's still Paralydium, but it's a very aggressive take on Paralydium. And I was a bit kind of disappointed. Like, I liked the solos, I still liked the vocals and everything. But I liked the songs that were 8 minutes because this seemed a bit rushed. As I said, all the solos were quite squished together because they shoved 7 solos in there and they're really rushing through them to get all the solos in. I don't know why they couldn't have just extended the song to the typical 8 minutes that they can clearly do, and really give an emphasis on the solos, and then maybe do a bit more sonically with extended bridges or different kind of verses and stuff, which they did in the EP. It just kind of seems that they kind of really kind of were squashing a lot into just one song, which, as I said, I don't really understand. But thinking about it, this is an album, and it's not the first track. It's about like the 4th track on the album. So when I thought about it, it's just like, it's an album. There's gonna have to be variation in it. It's not gonna be all the EP. They're gonna have to do a lot more. So this is probably just the heavy track with a lot of showmanship, and the reason they probably released it is just because it has a lot of showmanship on the type of solos we're going to get. So they've shown off all the different solos, they've shown off their aggressive side, and most people always prefer the heavier tracks to the more melodic tracks that I'm a bit more used to, because I like the more mature kind of music. Their EP was definitely a lot more mature than this song. That's basically my ballpark, but as I say, this is about the fourth track in and is probably one of the heavier tracks, and they're going to want to show their musicianship. There's 7 solos in this, and they're going to want to show their aggressive side because that's usually what people are mostly into. Now, if you go on Amazon, as I say, you can pre-order the album. So if you go on Amazon, you can pre-order the MP3 version. There's 9 tracks. So not a lot of tracks, and the length is only 45 minutes, which I thought was pretty damn disappointing, seeing that it's a progressive metal band, and seeing that the EP was 3 tracks that made up to 23 minutes. I really expected more, to be quite honest with you. As I say, I'm a brutal review, and I'm going to give it straight, even though I really like this band. I'm going to be straight with you. So that is a little disappointing, but 45 minutes, it isn't bad. It's average, basically. Like, it's the good enough aspect, but I would have liked to have seen something around a bloody hour from this band, and I was really expecting something around an hour from these guys. But anyway, if you go on Amazon, you can actually hear clips of every single track, and it does have the typical Paralydium still in there. If you look at the later part of the album, which, God, if I can remember the title, The Source, I think it was called The Source, that song has a great sense of melody. The voice is very melodic, the music is very, very open, and has this great beauty about it, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more to that song when it comes to the chorus and then the solos, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be heavy parts of that, but the song has a great emphasis on melody. And then the first part of the album does have a lot of really heavy stuff, and then the latter part has a lot more kind of musical stuff. So as I said, even though it's not what I kind of got from the EP, this is Paralydium in a very heavy sense, it's because it's an album and they're doing a lot more. They need more than just constantly doing the melodic side. So this is a heavy track that shows what they're capable of. And then other tracks, from which I've heard in the clips, focus on heavy stuff, melodic stuff, really melodic stuff, kind of heavy, kind of melodic stuff. So the album spans different sounds. So that's fine. So hearing this song within the album, it would probably work a hell of a lot better than what you kind of get by yourself. But even by itself, it's still a great track, even though I am bringing up problems. But being a critic, that's what I need to do. Unfortunately, I want the physical copy because I really want to hold it in my hand and be able to see my collection, because I like collecting music, and I like collecting music which I think is fantastic and great, and then just see my collection of fantastic bands. So I would like the physical copy, which it's there, it just says currently unavailable. So it's up on Amazon, but I can't click pre-order. As for the MP3 I can, so I'd like to really know what the hell's happening there. But yeah, you can pre-order it from Amazon, you can pre-order it from Google Play. I imagine iTunes will be the same case, and you can listen to all the individual tracks, which I do say you should do, and I do say you should pre-order it because I'm still 100% confident this band is gonna really, really nail it, because I have a lot of confidence in this band. As I say, 7 solos, every musician is incredibly, insanely talented, and this vocalist is insanely talented. So if they're that talented, I'm pretty sure they can really make great songs and are great songwriters and will show a great deal of musicianship. So you can't go wrong with them. So rating this track, I would give it an 8.5. It's not, the 9.5 like I gave the EP. As I say, this is a bit more kind of disappointing compared to them 3 tracks on that EP. But nevertheless, the vocals are fantastic. I do get 7 solos. I do kind of hate that they're all very crammed together. I would have liked them to have been a little bit more open and have a little bit more time for each individual piece. Like, you can do 8-minute tracks. It doesn't have to be precise to 5 bloody minutes. And the kind of more aggressive side, I'm fine with it, but I do prefer their more melodic side nature, like the EP. So, yeah, there's some great solos, still fantastic vocals. The bridge vocal work was brilliant. The chorus is fantastic, and then the backing vocals really pushed that stuff. So, it's a great track still. It's still a fantastic track. I just would like them to have extended this track, because it really does seem that there's a lot jammed in a very short space, which is really unfortunate. And then hearing the album is only 45 minutes is a bit of a panic, because there's 9 tracks and 45 minutes. I really was hoping that every track was going to be around the 8 minutes, because this seems like a really proper progressive metal band. So I would like to actually see all the individual times of each individual track to see if there is any track that really gets up to the 8 minutes, if not further than that. But at 45 minutes, I don't know. That'd be a push. But there you go, 8.5. It's a fantastic track. I would recommend pre-ordering it because their EP was so bloody fantastic. This track is still great. After hearing the clips, I am confident there is some great variation and still that great sense of melody that you really should do, because you want something musical, not just quite kind of dry and aggressive, even though that is good from time to time, which I think the band has basically done here. This is just them just wanting to kind of show their more aggressive style, because that's usually what people prefer than musical and melodic, and really kind of show off just that each individual person has great talent, which I think they showed. So I can't wait to hear more from this band. I'm really looking forward. When that bloody CD actually goes up on Amazon, I'll be pre-ordering myself, if it ever comes up, or it'll just always say currently unavailable. I don't know why the hell it's not up yet. The MP3 is. Hopefully one of the band members sees this and can bloody tell me if there is physical CDs. So 8.5, it is fantastic. I really like this band, and at this moment I could probably say that this is one of my biggest anticipated releases of the year, and I think this album could be a contender for album of the year. There's a shit ton of bands that are coming out this year. I think Avenged Sevenfold's coming out this year, which will probably take it because it's bloody Avenged Sevenfold, but we'll see. Go check the song out, check the music video, pre-order. If you're not too sure, then obviously just go on Amazon anyway and just listen to the clip, see what you think, and then make your judgment. Don't just do it off of me, because it is your earned money, and you shouldn't just do it because I say so. You should make that choice yourself. So listen to it. If you're not too sure, listen to the clips on Amazon. And if you do really like what you hear, then please support this band, because they are great musicians. So if you do like it, don't just download it. Support the band, please, because I don't want them to just disappear. So that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys whenever the next video is out, which goodness knows when that is. But until then, bye.